Good morning, guys, and welcome to the podcast. For those of you listeners that are interested in hearing about AI, what it is, how to use it, leveraging AI to buy back your time, to learn how to use AI to scale, grow, and also how to automate, delegate, eliminate, and becoming an AI first CEO, I have Aarti Anand from Denver, Colorado. And we're also going to get into the details of you are not born that way, you became that way, which is going to be really interesting. Aarti, welcome.
Thank you, Chris. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Yeah. Briefly chronicle your journey and how you got to be doing what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So, I've been building software products for almost 15 years now. And somewhere along the way, I was also hopping on sales calls, helping the sales team sell the products that my teams were building. And I had this epiphany. I am already good at building, and now I'm helping someone else sell. I should just go do that for myself. So that's how I started my business. And it's been a wonderful and fun journey because now I get to help business owners automate the boring stuff and the manual things that they end up doing almost on a daily basis. And I always say, why walk when you can fly? And that basically comes from we're living in this wonderful age of technology where you can basically take pieces together. And if you think in workflows and not tasks on a daily basis, then you basically just try to connect the dots. I end up doing this daily, weekly, monthly, and the technology is already there. As long as people have that mindset of, I like to call them lazy, because they just hate doing hard work over and over again. And that's when you start to having that mindset, then it just becomes easy to think about, I can just go, is can I delegate it to someone else? And could this be a person? Or is there a tool that exists that I can use to automate it? And once you start to have that mindset, it's just easy for you to take things off of your plate, and then you can go live life the way you're supposed to.
Yeah, I love that. And recently I was tutoring my nieces and we're using ChatGPT and their school math problems are like 20 steps and then we're using AI to condense down to 3 steps. And then for some reason schools call that cheating, whereas in the real world it's actually progress and efficiency. We'll bring it to so one thing is in your bio you have you are not born that way, you became that way. What do you mean by that?
That's a great question. Yeah. So I think as human beings, we're conditioned to live life a certain way. You you're born, and then you go to school, and then you get a degree, and then you go get a job, and then you do again XYZ. And that's we've accepted that as a norm for whatever reason, because that's just these are the conversations we have had with our parents almost on a daily basis. And then in the end you wait to retire, and then you want to do the things that you want to. But the thing with retirement is when it comes, you're at an age where you don't have the energy to do those things. You can't go skydive, you can't go surf, although maybe some 70 years old are doing that. But again, you may have the money, but also have the time, but you don't have the energy. And I think, again, I keep saying that in this age of technology, the way people are building businesses, they're challenging all those assumptions. They're not going to school, they're not getting degrees, they're not finding jobs and then going off. They're basically just challenging every single assumption that we have made as growing up. Now they're just building their businesses from literally dollar zero. And they're also doing that mindfully, by the way, where they're building businesses around the life that they want. And that's what I mean. You basically you think about what you want, and it always starts with the thought process, and then you figure out ways to get there, and then you become the person you want to become, or you create the life that you want to create. And that's something, by the way, I'm also doing with my business. I'm a mom of 3 kids and 2 dogs. As I build my business, my kids are also growing up. I have an 11-year-old and 6-year-old twins. But as I think about it, my parents are also getting older. I can't wait to turn 70 and to have that time finally. By that time my kids will already be out of the house. I won't have them. So I'm as I build my business almost on a daily basis, I'm very mindful of I'm building it around the life that I want. And that's people used to build the life around the business that they had or around the work that they were doing on a daily basis. And now we're sort of switching the tables and switching the script where we're building businesses around the life that we want to have.
And the follow-up question, a corollary to that is, and that's a lot of the world is waking up to what you're talking about, especially millennial and Gen Z, Gen Alpha. When clients come to you, what is their pain point or frustration, or what is their aspiration and desire? Is it to become the next tech billionaire, or is it just a life to control their time, income, location? What do people come to you for?
That's a great question. It's actually a mix of all. And I think the mindset is first. As happens with any new technology that comes our way, people don't like change because they just don't know how to adapt to it. And that's I also have an AI first CEO newsletter, by the way, and that's the first issue that went out. I basically address the mindset because anything that you start with lots of energy, you want to change the world, but 10 days in, you get burned out because you're supposedly starting with the wrong strategy. And then you're like, where did I go wrong? And then you burn out and then you stop. And that happens with any New Year resolutions or anything that people like to change. So it's all mindset first. Are you that kind of person that hates to do hard work? Are you that good kind of lazy person who wants to just build the systems? So when they come, most of them, they have hit a growth ceiling and they don't know how to grow past it. And that's the reason is I always say anybody I'm talking to, most of the founders are easily sitting on twice of their revenue. And the reason that they're not getting there is because they just don't have the systems to support that kind of growth. So when they come in, they're at some sort of bottleneck growth. And then what they need is a system in place which can help them launch to that growth level. And then we start talking about, like I said, first thing I talk about is where is the bottleneck, not the fancy tool that you need, not 10 different magic wands I have in my back pocket. They are probably useless to you unless they solve a bottleneck growth problem in your business. So we start talking about where you are today, where you want to be in 6 months, 12 months, 5 years from now, and what's stopping you from getting there. And as we start to peel the onion, we figure out where they are today. What exactly would they need to get to that level? And I never have them head dive first. I always start with one simple system that I can put in that would give them the highest ROI. And then we start from there and we do incremental changes from there.
And what do you say for the podcast listener? They're kind of mid-career or just late career, and they're like, yeah, it's too late for me. Is it ever too late? Or how can they start to use these systems and processes? Some love doctors, they've been working 30 years and still can't retire. So how do you address these issues?
Yeah. And I think it starts with it's never too late for anybody. People have started their careers at the age of 50, right? At the age of 60. I think it's again what type of life you're building when you turn 70. And I always joke about I want to have all the crazy stories for my grandkids, how I went from 9 to 5 to starting my own business at the age of 42 and just having fun along the way. So I think it's again we coming back to mindset first, and second, start wherever you are. I think it's rarely about the talent, the skills. It's always about what do you need to get to that next level in a year from now. And you come back to the daily standards that you have to hold yourself accountable to in order to get there. People have built their apps at the age of 50, and they have done that over a period of 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But that didn't happen overnight. You had to show up to the gym and do the strength training on a daily basis. I ran my first half marathon at the age of 42, and before that I had never run past 2 miles. So I think we overcomplicate by the amount of work it takes, but then we also forget to remember that it starts with 1 mile every day. It starts with 15 minutes in the gym every day. And similarly, in terms of business and the type of the retirement or post retirement, or the type of bank account you want to have at the age of 60, it again starts with putting 1K, 2K, 3K. And what is one thing that you can automate today that takes you out of the system, out of running inside your business? Because to be honest with you, if I am a CEO and if my hourly rate is 500, I cannot sit down and keep checking my email on an hourly basis. Then I'm doing a 10-hour job. So it's really just zooming out to the 5,000-foot overview level and then think about what is it that's sucking the time and the life out of me, and I want to delegate it. Do I hire a VA who would do that for me? Or is there a tool that exists, or someone may have already built an automation? We would just automate that for me. And then I can go do the thing that would give me a return on 500 and on an hourly basis.
Yeah, I think in what's really interesting is people overestimate what they can do in the short term and underestimate what they can do in the long term. I think Tony Robbins said that.
Yeah.
And so the other question I have for you is when you talk about mindset, and I love how you're changing paradigms, and a lot of the millennials and younger generation, they've started businesses, they've sold them, they have lifestyle businesses, they don't work for people. And so they're enjoying, like, they have time, location, financial, they have emotional. As you, what are some hacks or habits that you personally have to increase your energy? I've been studying some longevity, but what are things that you do to increase your energy?
I love that question. I think people underestimate how health is supposed to be the top priority. It's not their business, not taking care of anybody else. And there is a very popular saying that I always keep close to my heart is a healthy person has many goals, a sick person only has one, right? If you struggle to get out of bed, what can you do? You can't run your business. You can't even go take one single meeting. So, health first. And the way I've started thinking about it right after I turned 40 was I run because I want to increase the lifespan. I want to live longer. And if I have good heart health, it's going to help me live long. But that living longer is not the ultimate goal. You also have to have that quality of life on a daily basis. And that's why you do strength training. So you strength train to have the quality of the life. And if you combine the two together, then you have the best of the world. But that's only 20% because that's physical. 80% is what you eat. So I've done lots of research and lots of programs over the years. I think what finally has helped me to get in the best shape of my life after having 3 kids and doing all the things in career and business. I think finally what stuck was calculating my macros. So I do no salt, no sugar, and no oil. And that has become a lifestyle for almost 6 months now. And I've never had more energy than I do now. And I think when I paired this with running and the strength training, that's my secret recipe.
Well, that's really fascinating. A lot of the entrepreneurs I talk to, they wake up early, they 5 a.m., 4 a.m., and that's like kind of a couple hours to themselves. And a lot of and I know a lot of people are turning to like yoga and Pilates and things, alternative ways to increase their longevity and increase their mobility. So next question I have for you is, we have around 5 minutes remaining, is, and we were talking about optimal lifestyle design and technology, and what do a lot of people are afraid of AI, they're afraid it's going to take their job. But you talk about how AI can automate, delegate, eliminate, and also to actually grow and scale your business. So, how are you viewing AI, and what systems and processes are you implementing to get to the next level?
So, whenever someone expresses that concern, I 100% understand where they're coming from. So, when there's something that's new and exciting, and there are people, there are early adopters, right? But then not everybody is an early adopter, and you and I both know that. I think where their fear is coming from, it's either a gap in the knowledge, or their concern is, I don't have a technical team to support. How can I even start to integrate? Or third, they just don't know where to start. And those are some of the concerns and objections that I handle when I talk to my prospects. What I my suggestion there is to fill that knowledge gap that you have. And then second, to never have them go to their teams and project this thought process, it's going to replace you in the future. I always tell them to go to their team, or when I do the AI workshops, when I conduct those AI workshops for the teams, I always come with a mindset of, you're already doing awesome, but then there are things you're doing on a daily basis that probably don't get you as excited as you would be doing a higher leverage task. Who wants to sit down on a desk and ask and answer the question, we're open 9 to 5, like 100 times a day, right? Human beings, again, the way the brain works, you give it a higher leverage task, people feel more confident. They also love their job more than they would do otherwise. So I automate the boring, or I help them understand that they need to automate the boring, repetitive tasks so they can go spend their time doing things on higher leverage tasks, which would give them a higher ROI on where they're spending every minute of their time. So that's one. And second is, I expose them to all the automations that we are building for a business similar to them, and what's the ROI. Once people see the tangible outcomes or the tangible numbers, it starts to make sense. And then we always offer them 15 days or 30 days free trial. We install the system, you see it for yourself. If you still don't like it after a month, maybe you won't like it after 2 months either.
Yeah, fantastic conversation, and ended because we have a lot of parents, moms, executives, entrepreneurs, doctors, lawyers, and they have families, they have kids. And what is your one piece of advice to parents, to the next generation? Is it still school going to relevant, or can they just go to YouTube, podcast, Khan Academy, or should they just learn the building code? And Elon was talking about like he hires for skill, not on pedigree. So, what is your words of inspiration for the next future of parents?
I love that question because I have 3 kids myself. And my son actually sent me a short the other day. And it was something like a 16-year-old, he became a millionaire. And he said, Mom, you think I should still go to school? So that question really resonates with me. Okay, if I'm being honest, what I'm telling my kids and what I want every parent to just hear me out on it. You don't have to take this advice, but the technology today is so freaking fast, and the kids are so smart because they're exposed to all this information. I just want everybody not to fear the screen time, but think about where the natural inclination for your kids are, and give them one step today towards a tool that can help them have that conversation. It could be just a chat GPT conversation. Sit down with them and then have that conversation, and then figure out one way where they can experience technology. This will also help you assess where their interests are, and then go from there. And again, I keep saying this, I think we overcomplicate success, we overcomplicate the strategy, we overcomplicate how anybody achieves anything in life. It all starts with taking one simple step, one action, which is in the right direction of where you want to go. If you want to become if you want to become a runner, you start with taking a walk outside for 5 days straight, and then next 5 days you start jogging, and next 5 days you run your first mile. If you do that over a year, you'll be far ahead compared to anybody who's thinking of running 5 miles tomorrow. So, my only piece of advice would be kids are really smart. We are living in a fantastic age of technology. I would just encourage everybody to install ChatGPT, start having one conversation, and just watch your kids learn from that tool and where their thought process is going. You're going to be blown away.
And people listening to this podcast, if they're inspired, how can they connect with you, find out more about you, learn from you, and connect with you?
I'm on LinkedIn, so you can find me there. I'm also on Instagram. My son actually, funny enough, he started helping me in my business. And what I do is I'm a very huge proponent of content creation. So we're actually creating at least 3 pieces of content every day. And what he wanted to do is, since I love doing that, but I don't have the time to do it. So I told him if I delegate that whole thing, I am putting in SOP and a training together for him. He's going to watch it. He's going to do it for a month. He'll get paid a certain number of allowance each month. And every month he knocks it out of the park. I am going to increase by 50% every month allowance. And that's how he's learning with me. And that's why I say kids are so smart. They have the time. They also have the enthusiasm to take part in your business. I would just encourage everybody to leverage that side of creativity for them and just give them a hands-on experience in however way you can. So we're also in Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm doing the same thing with my kids too. And really fantastic podcast, and I really enjoyed this conversation. And keep up the great work.
Likewise, thank you for having me, Chris. I'm really excited. Thank you.